Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about long-term care and the cheapest way to pay for it, whether it's insurance or not insurance, or there's a number of things to think about. That's what we're going to dive into today to make sure you're covered and that you, when you need that help one day, you've got the money and the coverage to make sure you're going to be just fine and you're not a burden on whether your spouse or your kids. So let's dive right in. If you're new here, so good to have you. My name is Dallin Hawes. I'm a financial planner and CFP, and I help federal employees retire every single day. So let's dive right in. We have to understand, what are we talking about when we say long-term care? Many of you may be introduced to this as your parents go through this process of not being able to take care of everything themselves. Maybe they can't do something. Maybe they need to be in a nursing home, assisted living, some sort of thing like that. And the question is, how do we pay for that sort of thing? Because it gets very, very expensive. Depending on the location, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, if not $10,000 plus per month of expenses to have someone in some of these locations. Some are much cheaper, some are more expensive. It just depends on your location and how nice of a facility you want, right? So if people aren't prepared for this sort of thing, this sort of expense can kill retirement plans. And in the worst situation, maybe one spouse takes all the financial resources to fund their long-term care stay, leaving the second surviving spouse without a lot of resources. That is the worst case. We certainly don't want that to happen to any of you. So let's talk about, okay, let's say we do need long-term care one day. What's the best way to fund it? What's the cheapest way to fund it to make sure you're going to be okay, your spouse is going to be okay? What's the best way to do it? Well, there's two main ways, really. There's number one, you can buy insurance. You can buy long-term care insurance so that they cover a big part of the bill one day, or you can self-insure. Self-insure means, hey, I'm going to put money aside. I'm going to earmark some amount of money so that one day it's there and we can use it, right? So obviously the cheapest way to do this is self-insuring, praying you actually don't ever need long-term care. Because not everyone does. Not everyone actually does need long-term care to be in a nursing home or something like that. A lot of people don't. Some people do. Not everyone does. So that would certainly be the cheapest, but not everyone is okay with taking that sort of risk. It depends. It depends. So let me talk you through some of the factors. Number one, you can buy insurance, and that would solve a big part of this issue. However, you got to pay for the insurance. And the insurance is not cheap. It is expensive. And in the past, premiums have gone up substantially because insurance companies are realizing how expensive it is to provide this insurance. So they're really cranking up their rates. So you have to be okay with them increasing their prices over time because the price of the insurance isn't necessarily fixed. It can go up over time. You have to be okay with those increases if that's the option you pick. Now, a lot of people, what they end up wanting to do is say, hey, look, I don't know if I'm going to need long-term care one day, but if I do need it, I want to be ready, but I don't want to spend a bunch of money on long-term care insurance. So what can I do? Well, option number two is earmarking some asset or some amount of money somewhere for that purpose one day. So for example, let's say you have a really healthy TSP. Maybe you say, hey, look, I'm gonna earmark $100,000 or insert however much you want to earmark. I'm gonna let that grow over time so that come the time I'm 80 years old and if I need to be in a nursing home, that I can fund that sort of thing. I've got money earmarked and growing just for that purpose. And if I don't end up needing it, perfect. The money's still there. I can give it to my kids or whatever I might want to do. You can self-insure that way. Earmark some of your money, whether it's your TSP or other funds, let it grow over time so that, boom, it's there for you when you need it down the road. That's one option. Option number two is earmark home equity. For example, some people are confident that, hey, by the time I need to be in a nursing home, I'm not going to need my house, or we're not going to need as big of a house as we have. We could downsize, sell it, whatever, and I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of home equity built up that we can use to fund that sort of thing. So that way, again, if they don't need long-term care one day, no problem. They just keep the house. If they do need it, no problem. They could sell it, whatever. Often people that are in a nursing home don't need a house, so keep that in mind as well. But again, not everyone wants to do that, especially if they want their house to go to kids or whatever it might be. So those are some of the ways to fund. Again, the cheapest option is certainly self-insuring, hoping you never need it, but that doesn't always work. Now, again, insurance, having long-term care insurance is not necessarily a cheap option either. They're both not perfect, but you just have to find a plan and a solution that works for you. There's no perfect way to do it because we don't know the future. If we knew the future, if we knew exactly what your needs were going to be in 30 years, perfect. We'd be able to come up with a perfect plan. We just don't know. So it's up to you to come up with a plan that you're comfortable with, that you're okay with, and then just implement that plan. Some plan, even if it's not perfect, is going to be way better than no plan at all. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions yourself, there is a link in the description below to submit those, and we'll base our future content off of those questions that we receive. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.